dear friends in faith. The story of peace be upon you, dear friends in faith. The story of Umar ibn Al-Khattab is truly one of the most epic chapters in Islamic history. From being a fierce enemy of the Prophet Muhammad, known for his tough, stubborn nature, to becoming one of Islam's strongest defenders. Umar wasn't just any man, he was a symbol of courage and justice. Let's dive into his full story. Umar ibn Al-Khattab was one of the most respected young men in Mecca. If you picture a tall, broad-shouldered, strong man with a commanding presence, that was Umar. He was like the bad boy of Quraysh, but in a serious, no-nonsense kind of way. Coming from a noble family in Quraysh, Umar grew up as someone both honored and feared. Tough, strict, and known for sticking to his principles. That was Umar's trademark. Before Islam, Umar's lifestyle was no different from many others in the age of ignorance. Drinking, worshipping idols, mistreating slaves, that was normal life for him. And his hatred for Islam. It wasn't mild, it was intense. So intense that Umar actually joined in torturing Muslims. Even his own slave wasn't safe from his wrath. He'd regularly team up with Abu Jahl and others, like a gang, specifically targeting poor Muslims and slaves who had embraced Islam. It wasn't just about attacking. Umar took pride in it. He'd ask Abu Jahl, "So who are we punishing today?" Like it was just another daily task. One of the main targets of their cruelty was Bilal ibn Rabah, constantly tortured simply for saying, "One God." But here's where it gets interesting. Amid all that rage, a spark of something else started to appear in Umar's heart. One night, when the pressure on the Muslims in Mecca had grown unbearable, many started migrating to Abyssinia for safety. During one of his usual patrols around Mecca, Umar came across Abdillah carrying her child, heading toward the outskirts of the city. Umar stopped her sharply. "Where are you going this late at night, Abdillah?" Imagine the fear. This was Umar, known for his hate towards Islam, yet Abdillah bravely answered, "I'm leaving for the sake of my faith." And then something completely unexpected happened. Umar, looking at this determined mother and child, felt something shift inside. After a pause, he said, softer than anyone would have believed possible, "Go then, Abdillah, may you be safe." She was stunned. Umar showing kindness, that was unheard of. But that moment haunted Umar. That night he couldn't sleep. Thoughts of Abdillah's determination kept circling in his mind. Why would someone risk everything for this new religion? The more he thought about it, the more his anger built up. He came to a conclusion. If Muhammad was the source of all this division, then Muhammad had to be stopped, permanently. Umar grabbed his sword and set out, fully intending to kill the Prophet Muhammad. But Allah had a different plan. On the way, he bumped into Nuaym ibn Abdullah, a secret Muslim. Nuaym saw the fury in Umar's face and the sword in his hand. He asked, "Where are you going, Umar?" "I'm going to kill Muhammad," Umar replied flatly. Nuaym, thinking fast, said, "Before you deal with Muhammad, maybe you should check on your own family. Your sister, Fatima, and her husband have embraced Islam." That hit Umar like a thunderclap. Furious, he changed direction, marching straight to his sister's house. From outside, he heard unfamiliar sounds, gentle recitations, something unlike the songs or poetry of Quraysh. It was the Quran. Umar barged in, demanding answers. Fatima tried to hide the pages, but Umar wasn't having it. In his rage, he struck his sister, drawing blood. Seeing her bleeding and yet still holding onto her faith broke something inside Umar. For the first time, he paused. "Let me see what you were reading," he said. Fatima refused at first, but Umar insisted. Finally, after washing himself, Umar held the parchment and read, Taha, we have not sent down to you the Quran that you be distressed. The words hit him hard. It wasn't poetry, it wasn't magic. It was something far greater. With his heart trembling, Umar said, "Take me to Muhammad." He was ready. When Umar arrived at Dar Al-Arqam, where the Prophet and his companions gathered, the atmosphere turned tense. This was Umar, sword in hand, known enemy of Islam. Hamza, always brave, stood ready to defend. But the Prophet calmed everyone and said, "Let him in." Umar stepped inside, his eyes searched for one person, the Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet approached Umar, placed his hand on Umar's chest, and said firmly, "O Ibn Khattab, isn't it time for you to surrender yourself to Allah and His Messenger?" Umar stood silent, heart pounding. The Prophet repeated the question again and again. And then Umar broke. Tears streamed down his face. He declared,
"Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah."
The room erupted in joy. The companions shouted takbir so loudly, it echoed all the way to the Kaaba. From that moment on, Umar ibn Al-Khattab wasn't just a new Muslim, he was ready to stand up for Islam in public. His first mission? Facing Abu Jahl. Umar went straight to his old friend's house, knocked, and declared his new faith right to his face. Abu Jahl, stunned, couldn't believe it. Word spread quickly. The Quraysh tried to stop Umar, fighting him, beating him down. But Umar wasn't the kind of man to back down. He stood his ground, unshaken, from enemy number one to Islam's fiercest protector. That's the journey of Umar ibn Al-Khattab. His story isn't just history, it's a living lesson. No matter how far someone might seem from the truth, if Allah wills it, hearts can change. Even the hardest heart can soften when touched by the light of guidance. Umar's courage and strength became pillars of the Muslim community. His name is remembered to this day as one of the Prophet's greatest companions and one of the most influential men in spreading Islam. If this story touched your heart or gave you something to think about, don't forget to like, share it with friends, and subscribe for more inspirational stories. And drop a comment below. What's the biggest lesson you took from Umar's story? I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, peace and blessings be upon you all.